Now on 4 News Now at 6, the battle for Spokane City Hall heats up over parking lots. Mayor Nadine Woodward attacks candidate Lisa Brown for talking about using parking lots to house the homeless. Brown fires back.
We are getting a nice break from the rain right now in Spokane, but we have more wet weather to tell you about. I'll let you know when to expect it in the First Alert forecast.
Homeless encampments sparking safety concerns across Spokane, what the city's doing about it, and how much it'll cost the taxpayer. You're watching 4 News Now at 6. As you just heard from Chris, we finally got some much needed rain across the inland Northwest. It felt good. The big question is, do we have more on the way? Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Chris Crocker to hear about that cool, wet weather.
Yes, we do have more cool, wet weather on the way. Some of us are going to get more rain than others, particularly on the Palouse and in the LC Valley. Here's a look at our satellite and radar right now. Or actually, over the past few hours, had a few thunderstorms developing up around Sandpoint, Clark Fork, and into the Colville area. Heard a rumble of thunder or two around Newport, and right now we have a thunderstorm developing right around the Cataldo area. We'll zoom in on that, and you can see this system is rotating to the west-southwest around an area of low pressure well to our south, and that is going to continue to impact us for the next 24 hours or so. Here's our forecast radar starting off at the current time. We'll continue to see those showers rotating to the south and west through the region and just brushing Spokane and Coeur d'Alene tonight. Here's 9 a.m. Most of the wet weather well to the south, but we'll occasionally see that batting at us. Meanwhile, we're going to be staying dry for the most part up along the Canadian border and even points further to the south. Temperatures around the region, rain cooled in the 50s in Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, only 54 in Moscow and Pullman, and a chilly 59 in Lewiston. Definitely feeling like fall. We're going to keep the chance of showers going this evening with temperatures already dropping into the 40s by 11 o'clock. I'll take you hour by hour on Thursday, show you when we have the best chance of rain, and tell you about a one-day warm-up and dry out in the 7-day forecast. Kirsten.
Thank you, Chris. The Biden administration says it plans to relaunch its free at-home COVID test program. That's according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The president believes it's very important to make sure that all Americans have access to tests. And so we will once again begin our program to provide Americans with an opportunity to request tests. Stay tuned. We'll try to get that out as quickly as possible, but that is the plan moving forward.
So starting Monday, people can order 4 free tests per household from covidtests.gov. More than 750 million tests have been distributed through the website since it was created. The program was suspended back in May at the end of the COVID public health emergency to preserve the supply. What you're looking at now is video of the SWAT team driving through a fence in Pullman during a standoff. Police say it started when the suspect fired at officers while they were looking for him. They were searching for him because he had made suicidal statements and did not show up for work and took a firearm from his home. Investigators say the suspect did end up taking his own life. When Spokane voters take the polls in November, they will decide the future of the mayor's office. Current Mayor Nadine Woodward is against former Department of Commerce Director Lisa Brown. The two have been at odds on many subjects over the course of this campaign, with the latest being their approach to the growing homeless population in Spokane. Natalie Grant joins us live in studio tonight with each of their stances. Natalie?
Well, Kirsten, today the Woodward campaign launched their latest strike against challenger Lisa Brown after their campaign released audio of Brown allegedly advocating for parking lots where people living out of their cars can be. But Brown says that's not exactly the case.
There is nothing kind or benevolent about letting unhoused individuals use parking lots as their homes.
On Wednesday, Nadine Woodward launching her latest strike on challenger Lisa Brown, saying Brown is advocating for public parking lots to be turned into homeless camping sites.
We're talking about people who are addicted, who have serious mental health issues that are not being addressed. And a car in a parking lot is not a safe place for them.
We need to bring people inside.
Following the mayor's remarks, Brown sat down with us at 4 News Now, saying her words were taken out of context and her main goal is to bring people inside.
Nobody wants people camping in parking lots or anywhere else in the city. So I certainly don't, and I'm sure most people in Spokane do not think that's the right solution.
Brown saying things like safe parking areas are utilized in other cities to prevent people from becoming homeless and could be considered here.
I have heard from neighbors in Corbin Park and Hilliard and Brown's Addition that people are living in cars and RVs, and they're parking in places they probably shouldn't park. The concept of safe parking is to offer them a place to come so they can connect to services and not become homeless in the first place.
And when it comes to their take on addressing homelessness, Woodward says building housing and getting people in residential treatment programs is key, and that conversations are in the works to allocate millions of bonding dollars towards it.
We do need to do a better job of getting more of that attainable housing built so that once they're in services and they're getting treatment and they're making progress in their lives, then they do have a permanent place to go to.
Brown agrees more beds are needed all around and is looking for a coordinated approach to make it happen.
We will absolutely immediately bring providers together and talk about a coordinated effort that currently doesn't exist.
Now, at last check, Trent Resource Center only had about 5 of their 350 beds available, with the majority of the other shelters in Spokane reporting similar availability. The election is coming up on November 7th, and ballots will be sent out here in the next month. Reporting in studio, Natalie Grant, 4 News Now.
Also on the ballot is a 0.2% sales tax that would build a new jail. The Spokane Rotary Club is hosting a debate on the measure tomorrow at noon. You can stream it on KXLY Plus using your connected TVs like Apple TV and Roku, or you can watch on your phone with the 4 News Now mobile app. Our streaming anchor Rob King joins us now. And Rob, if approved, this sales tax would generate close to $2 billion over the next 30 years. Besides a new jail, how will this money be used?
Yeah, Kirsten, the money would go toward modernizing public safety as a whole by adding new programs to help keep people out of jail. Critics have argued that what this actually means is unclear, especially to the cities who will be receiving a portion of that money. At tomorrow's debate, Spokane Sheriff John Knowles will be for the measure, and Spokane County Commissioner Chris Jordan will be against it. Again, it's hosted by the Spokane Rotary Club. And you can stream the debate on KXLY Plus at noon.
A 14-time convicted felon is back in jail tonight, this time for being found in a stolen car with drugs and a gun. According to the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, 30-year-old Nicholas Haven tried to run from a deputy when he went to confront him about the possible stolen vehicle. And then Haven tried to get away. The deputy managed to detain him. When investigators searched the car, they found pills believed to be fentanyl. They also found this gun, which is a crime for Haven to have since he is a convicted felon. He now faces multiple charges, including possession of a stolen vehicle. Still ahead, a federal agency has dropped a debut album. Here, a segment from the Product Safety Commission's newest song about safety coming up. Plus,
Spokane's code enforcement says complaints about illegal camping trash are on the rise right now. And coming up, why neighbors say this is a major safety concern.
Toilet paper, campfires, just stuff like that. I mean, it's, and it's sad.
new and smaller homeless encampments are popping up all over Spokane, and trash is being dumped illegally in the community. The city is expecting to see 33 tons of trash collected by the end of December. Peter Choi explains why people say this trash is a safety concern and what impact it could have on taxpayers.
I'm at People's Park, which is one of the hotspots for illegal camping. And Spokane's code enforcement director says they've received 1,000 complaints more in 2023. And neighbors said it's becoming a major eyesore, and they're concerned about their safety every day.
As far as access goes, I mean, it's the best.
Coming to People's Park at least once a week, he says it's a great place to do fly fishing. Brett Womble says lately there's too much illegal camping around the park.
Down Hangman Creek, I mean, there's camps down there all the time. I mean, it looks like there's new camps going up down there all the time, every day.
Womble says they're more than just eyesore.
Debris, trash. I found needles in the river. That's a big thing too. You know, I mean, we have a big community of fly fishers around here. You know, during the summer, you know, someone steps on a needle, that's bad.
So we do respond to complaints that are submitted to My Spokane or 311, and that has been tracking up since 2022.
The city's code enforcement says it's picking up thousands of pounds of trash every year, from food containers to cardboard boxes.
Well, it's something that's never lost within the department, is that we are aware of the safety that is for the occupants that are there as well. So our main intent is really just to try to minimize that.
I asked him if the budget for the code enforcement department can change if demands keep rising.
At this point, no. It's not something that in my budget proposal that I'm asking any more funds, but that could always change based on the demand.
This is a really special place and a great place and a pretty place, you know, and it's sad to see it get to that, you know.
In Spokane, Peter Choi, 4 News Now.
Well, the city of Spokane and SNAP are joining forces to help families who were evicted from their downtown apartment when the building was deemed unsafe. The city says that payments have been processed by SNAP for 20 people who lived at this Wall Street apartment complex. According to city code, relocation assistance for displaced tenants is more than $2,000 per unit, or 3 times the monthly rent. The city says relocation assistance is normally the building owner's responsibility. That's according to state law.
Here are 4 things to know about your weather. We have some isolated evening thunderstorms in progress right now. In some of the sheltered northern valleys, we might start to think about frost tonight. Cover up those tomatoes if you want to save them. Showers Thursday, and fall starts Friday night. And the fall-like weather continues. I'll explain after the break.
Right when you're in the streets, take caution. Protect your neck and your noggin. When you're in the streets, take caution. Protect your neck and your noggin.
I just want everyone to hear me when I say I have tried to understand this all evening with my producers, who are very cool and hip. I still don't understand.
What are we watching?
So this is the first track of the Consumer Product Safety Commission's debut album called We're Safety Now, Haven't We? Which doesn't make any sense. We're Safety Now, Haven't We?
I see a lot of outdated memes and things on there. I don't know. I don't know if the kids are going to go for this.
There's a cute cat. I do like that little cat with the cell phone. I guess this album is meant to encourage kids to be safe while, you know, they're playing outside on their bikes and scooters, and just general safety. Maybe they'll start bopping to it. It's a catchy beat. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Obviously not geared toward older teenagers, but maybe younger kids, yes.
We don't know.
No, they did not ask us. I should qualify. Let's talk about the weather. We had only 0.06 of an inch of precipitation at the airport in Spokane. You may have had more at your house, especially if you live down on the Palouse, and there's more to come. We just have a few isolated areas where we're seeing some precipitation right now. We've had a few rumbles of thunder around Cataldo heading toward Coeur d'Alene. Also an area of thunderstorm activity or heavier rain that's moved south of Newport may be impacting the Colbert area here in the next half hour or so, and some hit and miss areas of precipitation as we head down south of Spokane, still in Spokane County. And that's about how this evening is going to go, and overnight. Scattered to isolated showers, 45 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, a chance of showers, especially south of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. I'll show you in a moment. Wind gusts up to 25 miles per hour in the afternoon. The star of this show is an area of low pressure. You can see the counterclockwise rotation around that low that is sinking south of the region. And as it sinks to the south, we will dry out from north to south, but it's going to take a while because this is going to slowly creep to the south, continuing to send precipitation our way in waves over the day tomorrow, and to a much lesser extent on Friday because high pressure will begin to nose in for a brief visit on Saturday before the weather pattern picks back up again. Forecast radar starting off 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Best chance of rain south of I-90, but we are just within this system's grasp in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. As we go through the day, you'll see that precipitation rotating around and just barely clipping us. Here's 11 a.m., keeping that rain going in Moscow and Pullman. Light showers possible through Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. Late in the day, you may get a few sprinkles further to the north, but our forecast is calling for little if no measurable rain the further north you get into Bonners Ferry, Sandpoint, and the precipitation totals are not especially impressive until we get down into Moscow, Pullman, and Lewiston. And if this looks different, if you were watching at 5, we did get an updated model that's keeping things really focused south of I-90. So going to start the day off on the cool side again. We're getting used to these temperatures in the 40s and even some 30s in the outlying areas. High temperatures tomorrow. The further north you go, you're going to find some warmer weather. Colville, Grand Coulee, Omak with the dry conditions. We head south. It's only 61 in Pullman for a high, 68 in Lewiston. Here's a look at your planning forecast. Fall starts Friday. A chance of a sprinkle or two depending on how quickly that area of low pressure retreats. We're dry on Saturday with a high of 71. Then the chance of showers is back in your forecast starting Sunday and then picking up again as we head into early next week. Certainly rain that we need. I'm going to be talking Wildlife Wednesday in the next half hour. Kirsten.
Sounds great. Thank you, Chris. Well, in less than an hour, the sun will set over the inland northwest. This is the time of year we lose the most daylight. New at 6, meteorologist Matt Gray shows us how our day-to-day experience with the weather is impacted by this change.
Thank you, Kirsten. 3 minutes and 24 seconds, or about 2.5 times the length of this segment here. That's how much daylight we're losing every single day right now in the inland northwest. I'm sure you've been noticing it. It's the biggest daily loss we see each year from September 16th to October 4th. And that means that by the end of the month, just 10 days from now, the day will be 35 minutes shorter. Overall, the day length at the end of September is 2 hours shorter than at the beginning. On this road to the winter darkness, we begin to see more changes in our day-to-day weather because of less light when you head to work on a spring or summer morning. Do you ever really feel the low temperature for the day? The answer is no, because that usually happens around sunrise. And since sunrise is before 6:30 from late March until this past Monday, a lot of us are waking up after the coolest part of the day. Not only does it get colder in fall and winter, but you're more likely to experience that cold as the sunrise creeps closer and closer, goodness, to the commute time, as you see on your screen. Plus, there's daylight saving issues. At the same time, planning your afternoon is a little bit different as well, and not just because the sun sets earlier. You see, in the summer with 15-hour days, you'll hit your high temperature a lot later in the day, say 6 or 7, but nowadays it's more like 4 or 5, and pretty soon, well, it's going to be closer to 2 or 3. And it's not just about when we reach that high, but also for how long. As you see on your screen, a day in the 80s in September, it just hits different than one in the spring or summer. It's not as warm for as many hours, even if it is warm at the high temperature for even an hour at this point in the season. So we describe every day by the low and high temperature here on this program, but they are not always of equal importance to your plans for the day. And this time of year, we start to lean towards the low being the more important one.
All right, thank you, Matt. Still ahead, negotiations have resumed for 2 of the largest labor strikes in the country. What's preventing these companies and unions from reaching a deal? Coming up. The general election is just over a month away, but voting may not rank as a top priority to people who lost everything in the Medical Lake and Elk fires last month. Secretary of State Steve Hobbs says you can still make your vote count, even if you're living at a temporary address.
You know, they're worried about their homes, feeding their family. What they're probably not concerned about is their ballot. And so to remind them that reach out to your county auditor, check out or reach out to the Secretary of State's office to update your ballot to make sure that your voice is still heard.
Secretary Hobbs says people displaced by the fires can update their temporary addresses through the county elections office. And even if you're staying at a hotel or an Airbnb, you can also vote in person on November 7th. Possible movement in 2 major worker strikes. The United Auto Workers leaders back in talks with 2 of the 3 U.S. car manufacturers, and in Hollywood, the Screenwriters Guild and studio executives have returned to the negotiating table to try to bring an end to the strike that's been going on for months. Our Marissa Rio has the latest on both of these high-profile negotiations.
Union screenwriters, producers, and actors have been picketing for weeks, but talks between writers, producers, and major studios resumed today. Some of the issues preventing a deal from being made is higher pay, streaming data transparency, and how artificial intelligence is used.
I support WGA and SAG as it relates to their existential stress as it relates to streaming and how it's radically changing the business model as it relates to artificial intelligence.
I don't want industry, studios to be able to use my likeness in perpetuity. We're striking as a whole because we're a family. And if one artist is struggling, we're all struggling.
Impacts of this strike are being felt across the entertainment industry, with late night shows being put on hold until the strike ends, and many films and TVs being pushed back all the way to 2025. In Detroit, the Auto Workers Union has been on strike for almost a week. The union says more plants will strike if executives at the Big Three don't offer better contracts by noon on Friday, with union leaders demanding higher wages, increased pensions, and a 4-day work week.
I have a problem with the approach the union's taking. Let's pay people what they deserve, but let's not be paying for people not to work.
I stand with the striking UAW workers. They deserve to share in these record profits that the executives are taking home.
This strike is also impacting other parts of the car industry. General Motors officially idled 2,000 employees at the company's Fairfax assembly plant in Kansas today. The White House was set to send the acting labor secretary and a senior advisor to Detroit to try to broker a deal. But instead, they will get help from D.C. after the head of the UAW said the president's team would not be key in brokering a deal to end the strike.
Reporting in studio, Marissa Rio, 4 News Now. Thank you, Marissa. We have much more coming up on 4 News Now at 6, including why big box stores are already promoting their holiday deals.
Live from downtown Spokane, this is 4 News Now at 6:30.
Breaking news out of Priest River tonight. Within the last half hour, the West Bonner School Board was forced to cancel their meeting because not enough board members showed up. This would have been the first meeting since the board chair and vice chair were recalled. It would also have been the first meeting since their superintendent was deemed unqualified to serve after the Idaho board denied him an emergency certificate. With only 3 board members left, all of them needed to be in attendance for them to legally have a meeting. But trustee Troy Reinbolt did not attend tonight's meeting. This meeting would have also been the first step to select a new board chair and vice chair. They plan to hold a special meeting sometime next week. We will keep you updated on Nightside. Okay, so I found the rain jackets.
Oh, good.
I was ready to go, and then I didn't get rained on.
You did not get rained
My
on.
car got rained on, but I was lucky today.
You were, yes, I did require a rain jacket this morning out and about, and you may need to use it again tomorrow before we get a break. Here are 4 things to know about your weather. We have some isolated evening thunderstorms in progress around the region. There is the possibility of frost in some of the sheltered northern valleys, but they will be in isolated pockets. Showers possible again on Thursday, especially south of I-90. Fall starts Friday night, and it certainly feels like fall. Here's a broad view on our satellite and radar over the past several hours, and we did have some thunderstorms around the Hope area, also just north of Colville, a few rumbles around Newport earlier this evening, and we have this area of shower and thunderstorm activity moving from Cataldo toward the Coeur d'Alene area. We'll zoom in here and haven't had any lightning strikes in the past few minutes, but this is rotating to the west-southwest. We've also had a couple of spots popping up in southern Spokane County, and that's how our next 24 hours are going to play out. Hit and miss showers and isolated thunderstorms. Here's a look at our forecast radar starting off at our current time at this precipitation rotating to the west-southwest, and that's just going to be brushing Spokane and Coeur d'Alene through the early morning hours. We may get another break in the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area in the morning, but we're going to keep that rain going over the Palouse, through the LC Valley, and into the central panhandle as an area of low pressure pulls away from our region. Here's a look at your Thursday planner. 72 is our average high. We'll be topping out at 66, and this number is going to be very dependent on how much rain we get, and if that rain makes its way a little bit further to the north, this temperature is going to be a little bit further to the south. We have that chance of showers through the afternoon, and then we'll dry out a little bit as we get into the evening. I'll be back with your 7-day forecast and some Wildlife Wednesday photos in just a few minutes. Kirsten?
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Chris. Spokane has been awarded a $12 million in urban forestry grants. This money is going toward caring for existing trees, planting new ones, and educating the next generation of foresters. 4 News Now's Allison Martinez is live to share exactly where these grants will improve everyone's quality of life.
Kirsten, I'm here in the West Central neighborhood. Now, this is one area of focus for this grant. The 3 groups that are all involved are hoping to improve our quality of life, and they're hoping to do this by planting trees just like this one to provide shade over homes in underprivileged neighborhoods. Local foresters have been advocating for the health, environmental, social, and economic benefits of trees for years. Yesterday, a $12 million grant made their long-term goals more of a reality.
We rarely get opportunities for such amazing awards for urban forestry, and we've been doing lots of work, and so this is going to assist us in doing so much more.
The City of Spokane and the Spokane Conservation District have been awarded $6 million each. The City of Spokane Urban Forestry and the Spokane Lands Council will join forces to plant trees in underserved neighborhoods. The city supplies the arborists, and the Lands Council supplies volunteers that plant hundreds of trees yearly. Thanks to this grant, those hundreds will become thousands. These planted trees will offer shading and cooling from extreme heat, lower AC bills, and more.
We know, based on a study that Gonzaga's Center for Climate did a few years ago, that there is a 13-degree difference in our city on the same day. So areas that have shade are up to 13 degrees cooler than areas that don't during the summer.
The Spokane Conservation District will also be granted $6 million. SCD is partnering with the Pacific Education Institute to create a curriculum at high schools and the Spokane Community College.
This program will educate people on the basics, and it's going to be an on-the-job training, so they're going to get dirty. But out of that, we hope to grow a lot of new tree people that are going to help us to steward the lands in Spokane County going forward.
Reporting in Spokane, Allison Martinez, 4 News Now. For more information on plans for this grant, you can visit our website, kxly.com. Reporting in Spokane, Allison Martinez, 4 News Now.
Now to a consumer alert. Check your refrigerator. Kraft is recalling 83,000 cases of individually wrapped Kraft Singles American cheese. It says the faulty products may have a thin strip of plastic still stuck on the cheese when you unwrap it, posing a choking hazard. The company says it is a temporary issue with one of its wrapping machines. A month ago, the Gray Fire destroyed 5 camp cabins as well as 5 separate homes where staff lived at the Silver Lake Bible Camp. One of those homes belonged to the camp's executive director, who now not only needs to rebuild his home, but 4 others in addition to the camp. Bronte Saratsky went back to the camp today to check in on the recovery process.
In addition to rebuilding his own home, the executive director for the Silver Lake Bible Camp is also working to rebuild the 5 homes that once stood in this community.
We lived here along with all of our staff members in the community, and yes, now we're kind of going through it together.
Terry Andrews has opened up the Silver Lake Bible Camp for anyone in need of help after the Gray Fire, from providing space in the parking lot to park a camper to letting people grab a bite to eat.
We're trying to help all of our neighbors too. That's really our heart and goal, is to help others and give them the resources as best we can.
All of this while he works to rebuild this camp, as well as his own home that burned down.
Everything else was just stuff. You really understand what's important in life when something like this happens. So yeah, is it a bummer? Yeah. Would I change it? Yeah. But am I okay with it? Absolutely. We have no doubt. God does not cause this to happen, but he gives you the strength to get through it.
Andrews says that everyone on the property is eager to rebuild, but obstacles he's never thought about, like asbestos reports, have gotten in the way.
3 of our 5 cabins got a negative asbestos report, so that's all good news, and so we're really looking forward to the next step when we move beyond that and start doing the actual cleanup.
As Terry and the rest of the Medical Lake community focus on rebuilding as soon as they can, he says he's overwhelmed by the community's and others' kindness.
We're used to not taking, we're usually giving.
Reporting in Medical Lake, Bronte Sorotsky, 4 News Now.
Still ahead in sports, what Washington State head coach Jake Dickert says is key to stop Oregon State on Saturday. That's next on 4 News Now.
Hooray, it is Wildlife Wednesday time. I have some fantastic animals and some surprises to share with you. Here's our first surprise. Carol Ellis of Meade was sitting out on her deck, and this little friend wandered up. At first I thought maybe the neighbor's ferret got loose, but no, this is a stoat. She said it was fairly shy, in the same family as ferrets and weasels. Carol says this stoat likes to dine on mice and voles, which is a big help. It's very cute. It's got some cat-like properties, especially its back paws. I am very fond of this stoat. Thank you, Carol, for sharing this with me. And adorable. You know, I love a moose. And, oh, that Marty stoat. It's Marty Stowe. I'm sorry, Marty. I was thinking stoat and wrote that as your last name. It's Marty Stowe, S-T-O-W, frequent Wildlife Wednesday contributor from Coeur d'Alene, spotted this big old bull moose, looking handsome and healthy, and I can't help but notice the fall-like colors in the background. It is definitely starting to look like fall in North Idaho. Marcia Marine spotted this adorable pika in the Selkirks, actually several pika, and they were busy, she says. They were grabbing leaves, making little nests, shoving the leaves in the cracks in the rock, getting ready for winter. That brings us to Mark Votes, big old bear, again with the foliage in the background. And he says that white symbol on his chest, calls it a blaze. And he spotted this bear a mile from his house because all of the animals know where Mark Vote is. They know he's a fabulous photographer and seek him out. Now, Mark, being the outdoorsman that he is, came up with his winter predictions. And he thinks it's going to be early and hard. He says there is already thick fur on the bears as well as the chipmunks. The leaves are changing fast in North Idaho, very, very fast. The fireweed didn't fully bloom. I had not heard of that one before. And the hares are changing color early. So, Mark, we'll see. The Climate Prediction Center thinks that winter is going to be a little easier down here in the valleys. We'll see who was right. And, oh, he also said the caterpillars are mostly black. We've had some caterpillar controversy on my Facebook page, so I didn't put that one on there. But here's a look at your planning forecast. I would like a thicker coat for these cool mornings and chilly days. Chance of showers tomorrow. Fall officially starts Friday night, 71 and more like summer on Saturday with that high and partly cloudy skies. And then we are cooling back down, more wet weather coming next week. Kirsten?
Well, Chris, you know, my dad is a veterinarian, and he has always said, look to the animals. when it comes to all different things in life.
Okay.
So I tend to agree with Mark. I want to see what happens.
Well, let's make it interesting after the show.
Sounds good. New at 6:30, the Federal Reserve says they're putting a pause on interest rate hikes as the central bank waits to see what impacts previous increases have had on the economy. But the break doesn't mean the Fed is done yet.
The possibility of another rate hike to come in either November or December is still very much on the table.
Although inflation is steadily slowing and the unemployment rate is relatively low, the U.S. economy is still contending with challenges that could hamper progress, namely high gas and energy prices.
If those prices are sustained at high levels, they can spill over into the prices of other goods and services.
While the Fed is taking its foot off the gas, experts say don't expect rates to drop anytime soon. And here's a look at ABC's primetime lineup tonight.
What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? I guess we'll find out this weekend. Welcome into sports. I'm Julian Minnesota. Number 21 Washington State will go head-to-head against number 14 Oregon State on Saturday. The Beavers are good at running the football. The Cougars are good at stopping the run. So something's got to give. Oregon State's impressive rushing attack ranks 4th in the Pac-12. That's in large part to the Beavers' large offensive line. All week long, Washington State has been simulating the Beavers' physicality during practice. Saturday will come down to which team is tougher. Washington State head coach Jake Dickert is hoping it's the Cougars.
I think there's just such an interesting dynamic that their offense has. Yes, it is cutting the head off the snake. It is stopping the run. It is being disciplined. But, man, they'll take them some shots down the field, and the quarterback is really good at leveling the ball in there. So we got to prevent those explosive plays, too, to make them earn everything.
The saying goes, look good, play good. Washington State is going to turn some head with these jerseys on Saturday. Take a look. The Cougars will be wearing the anthracite jerseys with the white helmet and pants. The last time Washington State wore this combination was against Nevada in 2017. Kickoff between the Cougars and Beavers is set for 4 o'clock on Saturday in Pullman. The Seattle Mariners know a thing or two about finding young talent. There are only 2 players in baseball history who have had 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and 100 RBIs in a season at age 22 or younger. Alex Rodriguez, when he was with the Mariners, and Atlanta Braves superstar Ronald Acuna Jr. And now you can add another to the list. Mariners all-star outfielder Julio Rodriguez became the 3rd player at age 22 or younger to have 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and 100 RBIs in a season. His 100th RBI came on that home run in the 5th inning against the Oakland A's today. Seattle leads 3-1. Now the Mariners kept it going. Dominic Canzone, I should say, a little hungry here, laces one to the wall. Mariners will have 2 base runners come around to score. Seattle takes a 6-1 lead. Next inning, Oakland fighting back. Brent Rooker hits this one to center field and over the head of Rodriguez for a home run. But it was too little too late for the Oakland A's. Justin Topa on to close him down in the 9th, and he'll do just that. Game over. Mariners win 6-3. They sweep Oakland. Seattle will hit the road to take on the Texas Rangers on Friday. And with the win, Seattle and Texas are now tied for that final American League wildcard spot as far as records go. Texas has the head-to-head tiebreaker between the 2 teams. This series will be huge for standings and playoff implications. First pitch is set for 5:05 on Friday in Arlington, Texas. And that'll wrap us up for sports.
Julian, thank you. Halloween may still be a month away, but retailers are already promoting their holiday sales. ABC's Becky Worley explains how these stores are competing for your business.
It's Michael's lowest prices of the season sale.
Wait, Christmas sales in September? Yeah, kinda. This morning, retailers across the board announcing October sales in an early bid for your holiday dollars.
Amazon, Best Buy, Target, and Walmart have all announced sales right on top of each other for that first couple weeks in October.
Amazon with their Prime Big Deal Days, October 10th and 11th for Prime members only. And the other major players online with similar dates to kick off the sales season. Now, one reason they may be starting earlier.
These early sales offer multiple rounds of shopping, more time to hunt for deals, and more time to spread out their budgets.
Amazon is highlighting deal categories like home goods, fashion, and beauty, with specific deals promoted for the October event, like 60% off this home security system and 50% off a Sony soundbar. Just this morning, Target saying it will offer thousands of new items under $25 in the apparel, home, and food categories during its sale. And while analyst Deloitte is predicting retail sales growth to slow to almost half that of 2022, they say it's not clear that will translate into bigger discounts around the holidays.
Since inflation has come down, we're looking at more like a world that we had before the pandemic. It's consistent with a moderately growing economy again.
Meaning retail inventories may fall in line with consumer spending, and that translates to very predictable sales and modest discounts for the holiday season.
Coming up tonight on Nightside, the West Bonner School Board was forced to cancel their meeting tonight because not enough board members showed up. Why the superintendent says he feels personally attacked.
And there's a look at your 7-day planning forecast. Fall has really taken root. Temperatures in the 60s and lower 70s. We've got some dry days in there. That looks like a Green Bluff day Saturday. Oh, I should whisper that. That's going to be busy.
I know, as soon as you say it, you're going to be busy on Saturday probably.
Yeah, we'll be at the Oregon State, Washington State game. Should be exciting.
You're always busy though.
Oh, yeah.
I can never get this guy on the phone.
Yeah.
It's so hard.